A firestorm has broken out among Republican leaders who have gone after Donald Trump and Elon Musk because they decided to cut funding and staffing for 9/11 victims at the World Trade Center, even though RFK Jr., during his confirmation process, said that he would never undermine any support, medical care, benefits to 9/11 victims. I'm Michael Popok. You're on the MeidasTouch Network and Legal AF. It's not just Democrats like the senators from New York, Gillibrand and Schumer, who are up in arms. 7 different Republicans from New York have written a letter demanding that the cuts to funding and staffing related to the World Trade Center victims fund and administration be restored immediately. Because it's the right thing to do, because it's the humane thing to do. Because you're not supposed to go after victims' families in order to save a buck, in order to give it back to somebody else and say there's been a Doge dividend. Let me tell you exactly, because some people forget because it's over 20 years ago. You know, I find it remarkable that the Trump administration, for instance, would forget about 9/11, considering not only is Donald Trump from the state of New York, he calls himself the King of New York. But in addition to it, his Commerce Secretary is Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick, who ran Cantor Fitzgerald. Now his sons run Cantor Fitzgerald, who lost 658 employees on the day of 9/11. How do you forget the victims? Why isn't somebody telling Donald Trump to reverse course? Here's the letter on the 19th of February from the House of Representatives, 7 different Republicans joining their voice with Democrats. Dear President Trump, we write today to express our grave concerns regarding potential changes to the World Trade Center health program. The James Zandraga 9/11 Health and Compensation Act of 2010 established that program. It's under the auspices of the Centers for Disease Control. But there's 137,000 responders and survivors across America that had been obtaining medical monitoring and care, and now aren't because of the cuts. Because as they said in the letter, as you are aware, on February 11th, you signed the executive order reforming the federal workforce to better serve Americans, reducing the workforce for the program by 20%. They go on to say, we are deeply concerned about the reports that the statutorily required, meaning the congressionally required WTC research grants will be impacted by the recent actions of RFK Jr. As part of that law from 2010, the program administrator is directed to conduct research on physical and mental health conditions related to the 9/11 terrorist attack, research on diagnosing World Trade Center related health conditions of such individuals in the case of conditions for which there's uncertainty, and research on treating WTC related health conditions for such individuals, including those the victims that were in the fire department. Our offices have been informed, the letter continues, that a fire department of the city of New York, the FDNY research grant, has been terminated by the CDC within the last few days. It is our understanding now that the now canceled grant was being used as part of FDNY's efforts to compare disease incident rates of FDNY membership with those of 3 other urban fire departments. In other words, they need this information. They conclude this way: to fulfill our moral obligation to 9/11 survivors and responders, we must ensure that the program not only has the necessary resources, but is properly administered. We urge you, as a native New Yorker who lived in New York City, Trump, as it recovered from the 9/11 attacks, to reverse these actions, restore the canceled FDNY research grant contract, and fence off the program, which was authorized in a statute as mandatory spending from any further staff and funding reductions. Signed 7 members of Congress who are Republican. That's Representatives Garbarino, Lawler, Tenney, LaLota, Maliotakis, Langworthy, and Smith. Republicans all. This is what happens when you put Elon Musk in charge of your government. While the Department of Justice for Donald Trump stands in front of courtrooms, in front of judges, barely passing a straight face test and say Elon Musk doesn't have any formal power. He's not even part of Doge. In these trying times, you may only be thinking about the here and now. and not about the future. But we all have a future worthy of protection. Protect your family by securing their future with life insurance from Policy Genius. Policy Genius makes finding and buying life insurance simple and ensures your loved ones have a financial safety net they can use to cover debts and routine expenses like mortgage payments and college funding, or even invest that money to earn interest over time. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options are 100% online and let you avoid unnecessary medical exams. Did you know 40% of people wish they got life insurance at a younger age? Listen, I didn't really focus on my life insurance needs until well into my 40s, but I know now that it would have been better and more cost effective to do it even earlier. And now that I've got a young daughter, I want to make sure that she and my wife are protected by whatever comes our way and if something happens to me. What I like about Policy Genius is how easy it is to use their digital tools and online features, combined with the expertise of real people, not bots, who are licensed agents. Policy Genius allows you to compare quotes from America's top insurers side by side for free with no hidden fees. Their licensed support team helps you get what you need fast so you can get on with your life. They answer questions, handle paperwork, and advocate for you throughout the process. Life insurance is a form of financial planning, and Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. Join thousands of happy Policy Genius customers who left 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot. Secure your family's tomorrow so you have peace of mind today. Head to policygenius.com/legalaf or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/legalaf. While Donald Trump is in Miami at a speech in which he says, well, I'll leave it to the clip. Let's give the clip of Donald Trump admitting that Elon Musk is in charge of his government and is in charge of making the decisions that are negatively impacting the victims of 9/11. Let's play the clip.
I signed an order creating the Department of Government Efficiency and put a man named Elon Musk in charge. Thank you, Elon, for doing that. Doing a great job. Which you could have seen him last night. He's really, he's a very committed person. He's a very serious person. And he's a very high IQ people. I like high IQ people. Not all have to be, but it'd be nice to have some people up there that he's a seriously high IQ individual. Now he's got his faults also, I will tell you that. But not too many of them, which is now really waging war on government waste, fraud, and abuse. They're curbing inflation and saving taxpayers billions and billions of dollars every single day. And there's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the Doge savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt, because the numbers are incredible, Elon. So many billions of dollars, billions, hundreds of billions, and we're thinking about giving 20% back to the American citizens. And
for Donald Trump to have the brass ones, the balls, to let his Department of Health and Human Services director, RFK Jr., say at his confirmation hearing that he is not going to undermine 9/11 responders or their victims in any way, in any shape and form, and then let Elon Musk cut the programming and cut 20%, impacting these victims over 20 years who have not recovered, the ones that survived, the first responders who were on the pile, is inhumane and immoral. Look next door. You got somebody in your own cabinet who is a survivor of 9/11. Maybe you should ask him about it. But this is what we have with a government that is unmoored from American principles and values. This is the decision-making that gets made as a result. These are the lies that get told in courtrooms as the president, who is the apex officer of the government, in the unitary president theory of theirs, says, oh, I don't know what my lawyers are saying in court. I mean, he's so tied up in knots. He said in an executive order that only he and Pam Bondi can speak for the government when it relates to interpretation of law. Then his lawyers go in and tell the court related to Elon Musk that Elon Musk isn't in charge of anything. He's just a senior advisor. And then he goes to Miami on the clip you just saw and says, I don't know what they're talking about. Elon Musk, I put him in charge of everything. He's super bright. I like high IQ people. Yes, we're watching a presidency fail in the first 4 months. Yes, we're watching a completely fatigued and gassed and out of it president make statements that he doesn't even know what he's talking about that are inconsistent with everything else. As his administration tries to find ways not to comply with federal orders of injunction, orders of restraining order, not to comply with them, to find ways not to comply with them, to have different administrators interpret different sections of the law in a different way, to find a way around injunctions and restraining orders. That's what they're doing now. That's the next phase. You know, it's like the cockroach theory. You can't kill a cockroach. They just find another way in, find another way to survive. If we ever have a nuclear war, the only thing that'll come out of the pile are cockroaches. And that's Donald Trump's theory. His little cockroaches that operate his cabinets have been given and agencies have been given instructions. Here's the judge's order. Find the loophole around it, right? Find another way to block the funding. Find another way to cut off all these employees and fire them illegally. Find another way, as opposed to comply with American ethos and values. That's supposed to be part of our DNA. Support those that need support. Who needs more support in this country than the victims of 9/11 and the first responders? I ask you. They're certainly up there. So we're going to continue to follow the fallout. It seems like there is a crisis and a scandal a day. We need a scandalometer for the Trump administration. Well, here's one place you can do it. Come here, MeidasTouch, Legal AF, Michael Popok. I'm doing it hourly on the MeidasTouch network, full time here now since the election. Now, that was like, I almost said something else. Since the election, full time MeidasTouch network, full time Legal AF, the new YouTube channel. Help them get to 1 million subscribers before our 1 year anniversary. We're already at almost 500,000 with your help, all because of you. So follow me on everything related to Legal AF, Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The podcast right here on the MeidasTouch Network, and then on audio podcast platforms of your choice. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the MeidasTouch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.